Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a journey into a highly unconventional, truly fascinating medical and dietary philosophy. We're looking at a completely different way to view the human body and the actual fuel we put into it. It's called the Tayibat System. And honestly, whether you're a total nutrition novice or a hardcore health buff, I promise you, this is going to challenge some deeply held beliefs. So, I want to start by throwing this provocative question right at you. What if literally everything you know about healthy eating is wrong? That exact question was a massive turning point for Dr. Dia Elawadi. He's an ICU consultant, meaning he's a doctor dealing with the absolute most severe, life-threatening cases at a major university hospital. And while working in the intensive care unit, just constantly surrounded by chronic illness, he had this radical realization. He thought, what if traditional medicine is really just managing our symptoms, rather than actually curing them? Here's a quick roadmap of what we'll be breaking down today. 1. The medical hypothesis. 2. Dietary rules. 3. The meat hierarchy. 4. Water and autophagy. And finally, number 5, the recovery timeline.
All right, part 1, the medical hypothesis. Let's see where this whole theory actually started. Well, Dr. Dia's entire theory was sparked by something deeply personal, his father's severe colon cancer scare. Combining that personal crisis with his years of professional observations of lifelong chronic diseases, stuff like diabetes and hypertension, Dr. Dia noticed a major flaw. He realized a modern society just kind of accepts chronic illness as a normal part of aging. Like you turn 40 and boom, you just expect to get sick. So he decided to completely throw out the rule book. He applied his new dietary framework to his father, who remarkably managed to drop his chronic medications entirely over the course of about 7 to 8 years.
And that leads us directly to his core argument, causality versus association. Now, this is huge. Dr. Dia posits that traditional medicine frequently confuses the two. For instance, the system claims that high blood sugar doesn't actually cause nerve damage or neuropathy. Rather, both the high blood sugar and the neuropathy are just associated symptoms. They're both resulting from a much deeper root cause, which is profound malnutrition and a highly distressed digestive tract. The argument here is simple. Fix the gut, and those associated symptoms just vanish. Moving on to part 2, dietary rules. Okay, brace yourselves, because this is definitely the most controversial part of our explainer today. There is a very, very stark contrast between what we are usually told and what the Tayibat system demands. This system completely flips traditional advice right on its head. It outright bans foods we've been told are absolute health staples for decades, while proudly allowing and even encouraging foods that have historically been totally stigmatized. Let's kick things off with the absolute forbidden list. According to Dr. Dia's theory, these items aren't just a little unhealthy, they're practically toxic to the human digestive tract, and they cause the chronic inflammation that eventually leads to disease. Okay, get ready for this. The specific list of banned items includes white flour, all sodas, yes, even the diet ones, dairy products like milk and white cheese, poultry, legumes, especially beans, and leafy greens. Yep, you heard me right. The system claims that things like fava beans and leafy greens, think spinach or cabbage, are basically indigestible for humans. Dr. Dia argues our stomachs simply aren't designed to break down that kind of rough plant fiber, making them a primary culprit behind colon issues and chronic fatigue. So if you can't eat chicken, or beans, or a salad, what on earth can you eat? Let's take a look at the surprisingly permissive list of foods that are fully allowed. Here is what makes the cut. Whole grains, rice, corn, natural fats like real butter and ghee, cooked or yellow cheeses, think cheddar that easily melts in a microwave, sweets, and specific fruits like dates and bananas. The big takeaway here is that the system deeply embraces whole, unextracted grains over processed white flour, and it actively permits natural fats and even sugars, viewing them as preferred, clean energy sources for the body. It is a total paradigm shift away from traditional calorie-counting diets. Part 3, the meat hierarchy. Because under this philosophy, proteins are definitely not created equal. Based on the original clinical notes, meat is ranked strictly by fiber length. The logic is that the shorter and softer the fiber, the easier it is for the human stomach to digest it smoothly, without leaving any toxic residue sitting in the colon. Let's walk through this exact ranking. Sitting at the very top, number 1 is lamb and mutton. It's considered the absolute cleanest, most easily digestible meat you can possibly eat. Coming in second is fresh liver. Third is camel meat and wild-caught fish. Number 4, small birds, like pigeons. And sitting way down at the bottom of the hierarchy, the least recommended option is coarse beef. Why? Because those long, tough muscle fibers are just incredibly difficult for our digestive tracts to break down effectively. All right, part 4, water and autophagy. Now we're getting into the system's highly unconventional stance on hydration. Their entire philosophy can be summed up with this phrase: eat and drink, but do not waste by excess. Dr. Dia passionately argues that we should only drink water when we are genuinely physically thirsty, and even then, only in small sips. He totally rejects that standard modern advice of forcing yourself to chug 3 or 4 liters of water a day. He claims that much water actually overworks the kidneys and just flushes out vital minerals we need. Which brings us to a biological concept known as autophagy. Autophagy is basically the body's natural process of consuming and recycling old, damaged cells. Now, the Tayibat theory posits that mild thirst and periods of hunger are exactly what trigger the cellular cleanup. By constantly staying overly hydrated and constantly eating all day, they claim we essentially turn off autophagy. And without it, those old, sick cells are allowed to mutate or age prematurely instead of being naturally recycled by the body. And that brings us to part 5, the recovery timeline. If someone actually commits to these strict rules, what kind of results are they claiming? Well, the original clinical observation table outlines the expected speed of healing, and this is supposedly based on hundreds of patients treated right in Dr. Dia's private clinic. The turnaround times they claim here are pretty wild. In just 3 days, patients expect relief from acid reflux. In 6 days, improvements in irritable bowel syndrome. By day 8, significantly better sleep. By 14 days, relief from fibromyalgia. Actually, Dr. Dia claims to have successfully treated over 700 cases of fibromyalgia using just this dietary protocol alone. And finally, by the 3-month mark, clinical improvement in a fatty liver. The core claim is that when the digestive tract isn't constantly fighting off toxic foods, the body's natural healing speed is absolutely extraordinary. So, as we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Is it time to rethink the catalog of the human body? Are our ingrained dietary habits actually serving us, or are they fueling the very chronic diseases we've just learned to accept? Whether you totally agree with the Tayibat system or you find it absolutely outrageous, it for sure forces us to ask some hard questions about what we put on our plates every day. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it sparked your curiosity to keep questioning and keep learning. See you next time.